We'll see. We'll see how well. Okay. So thank you for Lee for those insights into compliance and anti-money laundering. I'm a brand new bit, like some of you maybe. I'm a brand new business in the UAE. We set up in December 2023, so it's not quite our first year. And thank you for all the guests for coming here. We very appreciate it. This is actually our second event in the UAE. Our first one, we had less of a turnout, so we're very happy to have a full room today. My name is Michael Duffy. I'm the CEO of DontGetHacked Cybersecurity. I started the business as a startup in Canada 3 years ago, and 9 months ago, I expanded into the American market and the UAE markets. Lee and I have been planning this event for 6 months, back and forth, trying to find what time of year to do it. And I said, I'm going to be here in September. And we made sure we got this booked. So we've been working on it for a while. So you may wonder why a hacker from Canada is in the room today to show you a few of the angles that scammers and the bad guys are using in 2024 to disrupt your time, your business activities, and trying to steal something from you and your business. I have a long history of cybersecurity. I actually ran a business in Canada from 2005 to 2021, but it was a franchise, and I wasn't able to be quick in making changes to the business, so I found after about a decade and a half, it wasn't going in the proper direction because I have business owners reaching out to me all the time about new threats, and the old company structure just wasn't working anymore. So I thought I would build a cybersecurity startup from scratch and learn from the best in the industry. And that is what has brought me to the UAE. Okay. So why did I come here? We get many requests over Facebook Messenger, Instagram, LinkedIn from business owners who get hacked, and for many it's too late. So a business owner from Abu Dhabi reached out over Facebook Messenger last year to ask for help to recover her Facebook page. It's her main lead generation funnel. So just imagine the stress. Everybody advertises their business in a different way. Her main way is she's a expat. She has come from Europe. She was set up here over a decade ago. That Facebook page is over 9,000 followers. She set it up in 2014. So 10 years of building that Facebook page to attract clients and investors, she's also in real estate, to set up their business in the UAE. But then that page just vanished overnight. So was she hacked? Was it a disgruntled employee? Was it a virtual assistant? Or did Facebook just delete it? Okay, so here's the messages we were getting from her. So, she sent me a voice message saying that it was gone. I asked her just questions about it, and I verified she was the administrator of the page, so she should be able to get it back. Go to the next slide. So she responded that it was deleted maliciously. I've asked her if she had opened up a support ticket with Facebook. She said she had, but nobody had responded. I sent her some instructions on how to reactivate the Facebook page, and she responded that she was going to look into it. And then she was very happy because we were able to successfully recover her Facebook page. So that's just an example. We're not sure if it was, we really don't know how it got deleted, but I'm going to show you some examples today of phishing messages and the types of phishing messages you may have seen in the past, what you'll see this year, what you'll see in the future, because the scammers, the hackers, there's new platforms all the time, and people are very trusting, of course, because we're all business owners and we want to attract more customers and we want to make more money. But at the end of the day, all the bad guys want your money and your crypto as well, right? So this business, for example, so a little bit about me. So CEO of DontGetHacked. I've been an entrepreneur in Canada for the last 20 years. I've been married for 18. My daughter will be 12 next month. I am an author. I have 3 books. I've also been producing podcasts for business owners in North America for the past 3 years, and I've been in the UAE. We're set up in a free zone in Dubai for the past year. So my books are all available on Amazon. I've got Brand Sharks. I I'm a contributing author, so I've partnered with other business owners in North America to get my books published. Go to the next slide. And then I was approached to do a comic book about hacking. So we are in development stages right now. It has not been released, but I went to Washington, D.C. in May for this announcement, and we're very excited because we want to help educate all ages. Of course, business owners usually have families, they have kids. Everybody needs to know the signs to look out for, because you'll see, I know when I first got to my business set up here in the UAE, I started receiving WhatsApp messages that I wasn't looking for, and I'm like, wait, I'm getting all these messages from Aramex and Etisalat and all these other companies. Are they legitimate messages? As an outsider from North America, I have no idea. I'm assuming they're not legitimate, and I'm not going to trust them. But I know I speak to a lot of expats. I go to a lot of meetings. I may have met you at a meeting in Dubai over the last 2.5 months, and people ask me all the time, who can I trust? And I'm like, well, you can, in cybersecurity, trust no one, but we are established as a cybersecurity firm. You can trust us, and we give complimentary help to people all the time, because I want to make sure you have a trusted partner in the Middle East. Next slide. Okay. So I am an award-winning producer. I drove to New York this summer to go. That's one of the 2 trophies I had. I couldn't bring all my stuff from America, but I brought one of my trophies. So I have a podcast. I have two podcasts. They're on my YouTube channel. They're also on mupotv.com. The first one is a tech support podcast where I do do-it-yourself tech support. And then I have another podcast called Business Speed Dating with Magic Mike, where I interview business owners. I ask you why you started your business, what you love about your business, and what triggered you to start it, because all of us as business owners, we all start from somewhere, and I want to help share your story of your business development with the whole world, because at the end of the day, we all want more customers, all want more business, and video content is the way to go in the future, and this is why we're recording this, so thank you for being in the room. Okay, let's get into, I'm gonna ask you some questions about phishing, because traditionally you may think phishing is email, but now with texting and WhatsApp and Telegram and all these apps, there's so many different types of phishing, and I wanna just test you to see if you have any experience with, there's at least 15 types, but I know there's more. I'll go to the next one. Okay, so email phishing. Has anybody in this room ever received an email that looks legitimate, but it's not? Have you been able? But there's a lot of different types of email phishing. So fraudulent emails sent to employees pretending to be from a trusted source. There's also spear phishing, which is targeted phishing attacks aimed at specific individuals like CEOs, managers, anybody who's got a little bit more power in that business. Go ahead. Whaling is actually the term for phishing attempts that specifically target executives and decision makers. I know we run into this a lot in North America, especially when I deal with board of directors and condo associations where they're used to sending wire transfers. We've received a lot of messages from individuals saying, well, how are you supposed to stop? Or they've been tricked into sending large amounts of money over wire, and then I start asking them questions. I'm like, well, were you expecting to receive this invoice from this supplier for hundreds of thousands of dollars? Yes or no? And I'm like, I think your business needs tighter accounting standards but it's at the same time, it's education. Everybody from the low-end employee to the executives, if you're using email, if they have mobile devices like this, if they have phone numbers, as a business, you need to be educating everybody in your business about what to spot, because all these are going to change. These are just top ones in 2024. So the last decade may have just been more email. I know here in the UAE, everybody's using WhatsApp and Telegram, so I get a ton of messages, unsolicited messages in my WhatsApp, and I'm not going to respond to them unless I initiated that contact, but then you still need to verify if you trust that individual who sent you that message. Go to the next one. Clone phishing. The attacker replicates a legitimate email that was previously sent, modifies the content, and sends it again with malicious links and attachments. How do you protect your business against that? That's going to come down to your security on your computer, your firewall, anti-spam features in your email, et cetera, et cetera. Go to the next one. We have run into this recently in the UAE with a business. So phishing, so voice phishing. So phishing through a phone call where attackers impersonate trusted entities and try to get employees to reveal sensitive information like passwords, authorized payments. So in the past, have you ever had fake Microsoft or Apple call you to say, hey, you have a problem with your computer? That's an example of phishing. Also, possibly fake calls from government officials or other businesses. If you have not initiated that tech support call with that particular organization, how do you stop this from happening? Well, our business, we have a call center. We have a receptionist. So anybody who calls my phone number or our 1-800 number, it's answered by a human because we provide 24/7 tech support to businesses around the world. And if I look through my call records, 80-90% are not legitimate, or they are people looking for, they're not customers calling us. It's somebody looking for money. So that's how we stop it in our business. We have a receptionist. They don't pass it off to anybody else in the organization, and then we call out, and then we verify if it's a legitimate call or not. Show the example. Okay, so last month, we were contacted by a business, an expat, a brand new business in the UAE, where she had registered on a system, right? So she went and she was thinking she was directed to a fake website. We're not sure, but she went to a website, entered her details, and then never received any confirmation that her information was received. Then she received a call the next morning. You can go to the next slide. Okay. So she received a call the next morning, believing it was the government official, and they were able to get into her bank account because she trusted that they were actually an official. So we're not, we get requests like this or other type of businesses calling for help all the time. It's a regular thing. Our business is called Don't Get Hacked. When people look us up on Google, our business location is in Silicon Oasis. So we get interesting calls, and then we need to reverse engineer what happened, and then educate the end business owner on how not to be susceptible to those type of attacks in the future. At the end of the day, her bank account was frozen. She lost money in that transaction, and we need to advise her how to go forward with security in the future. Okay, smishing, SMS phishing. I know SMS is not a big thing here in the UAE, in the Middle East. WhatsApp is. North America, everybody's on text message and not so much WhatsApp, but okay, go back. Okay, so attackers send fraudulent text messages that appear to be from a reputable source, right? So this is one I recently got in Canada. Go ahead. I used to be with Rogers. It's a cell phone company in Canada, but that was over a decade ago. So this number is valid, the 403-471-8082. But look at that link. That link, my Rogers, that's not a valid link. So I know the normal consumer is going to fall for that a lot. There is a lot of good education out there now where people might catch on to this, especially if it's somebody offering you money for a tax return or something like that. But why they would have my phone number is I'm assuming there's a data breach at Rogers. Well, we're going to talk about data breaches in a second, but normally the way somebody would get your email address or your phone number to contact you is that your credentials are in that website. There's a data breach, and now the hackers have paid for that information, and now they're going to try to target you. You can go to the next one. Okay, so I said there's a lot of different types of SMS phishing these days because there's so many different platforms to get voice messages or text messages on. SMS, Facebook, Messenger, Instagram Messenger, WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal, LinkedIn, There is probably more social media networks. I'm old, I'm 40. There's probably more social media networks I'm not aware of, and there's always going to be some type of phishing attacks coming through those platforms. So just to educate yourself that unless you originate the contact to a certain, like a business or a friend of a friend, just don't fall for any messages that are coming through. Go ahead. Business email compromise, phishing attack. A sophisticated scam that involves hacking or spoofing a company's email account, especially those of senior executives. I was talking about the wire transfers before. Usually these are going to be, they know your business the hacker knows what type of business operations you're into. They've done a lot of research on your LinkedIn or other platforms, and they know these suppliers that, it could be a disgruntled employee who's left a supplier and say, hey, I know we get purchase orders from this company all the time for these amounts. You just really never know who out there on the internet knows a lot about your business. And this is why I'm never surprised. It's always like, okay, hey, there's more information I can learn to pass to my customers and educate them about what phishing attempts to look out for. Go ahead. Website phishing. Has anybody ever seen a fake website before? There's a lot out there. Yeah, as I said, that Rogers text message I had. Fake websites, probably shipping companies, Aramex, FedEx, UPS, things like that, where you may get an email about you owe duties or something like that. I usually don't respond to those unless I get a letter in the mail, and I've never had any harm come to me. So, in Canada, I ship a lot of stuff. And usually when I ship something, I pay for the duties up front. I'm not going to respond to an email that comes or a text message that comes saying I owe money. I'm like, if I owe money, they're going to send me a letter in the mail. But that's in Canada. I'm not sure about the UAE. You go to the next one. Social media phishing. Have you ever seen fake accounts on social media? I'm sure if you're on Instagram or Facebook, you have, where you may see a celebrity or they're sending you a friend invite because they've had their account cloned and they see that you have a lot of social media content out there and they're trying to befriend you, but it's a fake person. So you can go to the next slide. There's so many, there's like 15 of these different type of things. Okay, man in the middle phishing. Attackers intercept communication between the business and a legitimate entity, and try to steal login credentials. So we'll talk about Wi-Fi. So I typically tell my business users who travel around the world, I deal with mining companies and realtors and investors and real estate investors who travel all around the world because we provide 24/7 tech support. And I always tell them, always pay for data roaming. You know this device, you trust this device, and this device, as long as you get a password on your cell phone's encrypted. Whereas if you're trying to use free Wi-Fi, I don't trust any free Wi-Fi except the hotel Wi-Fi. I'm using the hotel Wi-Fi today, but my laptop's encrypted and everything's backed up. But right now, like this is on the cellular network. It's so easy for Wi-Fi to be intercepted, and for if you go to Wi-Fi, for example, like Starbucks or any place, and there's no password to log in, but there's a splash page, you know your data is not encrypted between your device and their Wi-Fi. And then at any time, they can be collecting your credentials. So if you're gonna connect, I don't want you to connect to free Wi-Fi, but if you do, make sure there's a password before you connect to that free Wi-Fi. And then in North America, we'd be using VPN. I'm not even gonna be discussing that today. So good. Malvertising, malicious ads. I get messages all the time. People go to websites and they say, hey, there was a pop-up ad. Microsoft tells me I need to call them. There is a lot of websites out on the internet that are already infected, and the business owners don't know they're infected, but that's one of the steps we do when we do a cybersecurity health checkup on your company. We check your website, we check the hosting company, we'll show you about email in a second, how you can check your email to see if it's secure, but there's a lot of fake websites and a lot of ads popping up out there, and we can discuss that if you are interested in having Don't Get Hacked provide a complimentary cybersecurity health checkup on your business. You can go to the next slide. Water hole phishing again. These are usually targeted. If somebody is, like if the hackers are trying to target Essentia, they're gonna be following you guys and know which websites you go to, and they're gonna try to do an attack where they know, if you've got a supplier or somebody, a website that you go to frequently, they're going to be targeting that particular place that you go to all the time. My company's small, so I don't have to worry about that yet, but when we get big, I'm gonna have to worry about this more. You can go ahead. So, farming, redirecting legitimate web traffic from a business website or service to fraudulent sites. So again, there's a lot of hacked websites out there. The business owners don't know their websites are hacked. And it's very easy if you're especially if you're using WordPress and if it's not up to date, it's very easy for hackers to redirect your web traffic somewhere else, or they can actually put fake ads up on Google and all the other search engines, and they just steal your image, and they're sending the traffic somewhere else because they know your customers trust your logo and they think it's an ad from you. This is why I can't advertise on Google anymore, because I was saying we would say we would do Microsoft tech support and Apple tech support, and then they stopped. I've been banned from advertising on Google, but it's okay. This is why we're in rooms like this, meeting people like you. So go to the next one. QR codes. QR codes are super popular today. Do you trust every QR code that you scan? So if I go to an event like this, I gave you guys a handout today, and we'll discuss it in a minute. That QR code goes to my podcast. But if you go to a restaurant, QR codes are really popular here. I'm like, do you trust every QR code that you run into? Some can take you to something that looks legitimate and isn't legitimate. So again, look at it and then try to go to the real site and just see if there's any difference. If it looks fit, you can't always tell something looks fake. So. And phishing via collaboration tools. So some organizations don't use this stuff, but a lot are using Slack and Microsoft Teams. And again, this is kind of like Zoom. In the early days of the pandemic, when Zoom got really popular and nobody had passwords on their Zoom rooms, and you'd have people log in and they'd post links. So this is still happening. Like I deal with oil and gas companies in Canada, and they'll have thousands of employees all on Microsoft Teams, but if somebody gets that room invite and they can get in, it's not as common anymore, but I still see this happening. And I'm on Slack all the time, and I see a lot of strange messages, but I'm part of a lot of organizations. So, okay. Easy way to tell if your domain is susceptible to phishing campaigns. And all three of us partners, I've done a scan of everybody's domain. So, this is what we do when we meet a business owner. When we meet you and we get your business card, I am going to scan your domain to see if you have any security holes. And then I'm going to tell, as me meeting you and building trust with you, I'm going to tell you what your risk assessment is. I don't know, people don't always like me pointing out this, but I do this because at the end of the day, if you get hacked and you come to tell, and you say, hey, I met you 6 months ago, and you didn't tell me I had these security holes, I'm gonna tell you from day one. So my domain, DontGetHacked.ca, we have no risks. This is for our email platform. We score a 10 out of 10. Most businesses that we scan, if you wanna check your own, easydmark.com, it's a free report. So we rank 10 out of 10, so I know that we're not gonna get phished. We have a really good spam filter, but our business is called Don't Get Hacked, and I need to make sure we're not gonna get hacked, right? The next one is Essentia, 5 out of 10. So I will talk to Lee and Siju about this. They need to fix their DMARC record. Right now, they have a potential risk of email spoofing. So somebody can pretend to send out, what email spoofing means is any business right now can send an email out as essentiame.com and it looks legitimate. So they need to tighten that up a little bit. Go to the next one. South African Business Council needs more help. So the DMARC and DKIM are on at your domain level. It's just about your email system. DMARC and DKIM became very important in early 2024. So this is brand new, and a lot of businesses don't know about this. But what happens is if your DMARC record is not green, Google, Yahoo, and Microsoft may not deliver your email. They may mark it as spam automatically. So of course, if you're in your business, if you're sending out email newsletters, invoices to customers, if your DMARC is not perfect, it's likely going to go to spam. So our job as cybersecurity experts is to educate our existing clients and potential clients and the public. You can go to the next slide. So we've been talking about phishing. And you're like, well, how would a hacker get my email address and actually start sending me illegitimate emails? Or how would they get my phone number and start texting me or calling me and trying to scam me? Very easy way to check. This is not going to check your phone number, but if you show up with the breached account, you know that they have at least your email address, a password or two, and possibly other personal identification like a phone number, credit card, and stuff like this. So there's a website called haveibeenpwned.com. Again, we have all of our customers with all their employees. So it doesn't matter if it's 2 employees, 10, 1,000 employees. We want to know if there's been any breaches with those corporate email accounts, because then we know what type of phishing, we know what type of bad guys are going to be knocking on their door. So my email address is not involved in any breaches, but this email address is also only 3 years old. I bet if I put my Hotmail email address in there, that's 20, there's probably breaches. Go to the next one. Lee has not been breached, but I know he's new over. I also checked CJU's. He's not involved in any breached accounts either. That means you likely haven't signed up for newsletters. You haven't typed in your email address all over the internet. So the next one is Sabco. There we go. So it's not terribly bad, except I showed you that their email system ranks 3 out of 10. They've been involved in 8 data breaches. But this makes sense for this email address because it's admin@Sabco, so it's a very heavily used email. I'm assuming multiple people have used this email address. I didn't take a screenshot of the breaches they were involved in, but it could be LinkedIn was breached before Microsoft bought them for a couple $2 billion. So technology companies don't really care if a system's been breached, but credit card companies get breached. All the social media, Facebook's been breached a couple times. So what happens in a breach is somebody, a hacker usually, crashes a server or gets in through a back door, and then they get a copy of a couple million email accounts, right? So that could be your email account, that could be your password, that could be other identifying information. Not every breach is necessarily bad, but then your stuff's floating out there. And then you might get emails from hackers or scammers saying, hey, I know this password of yours. I get this a lot. I know this password of yours. And my customer says, well, how did this person know my password? I'm like, well, I'm hoping you have more than one password. We're going to be talking about that in a second. And I'm like, well, LinkedIn's been hacked, Facebook's been hacked, Costco's been hacked, all these credit card companies have been hacked, all the hackers have your email address. So I'm hoping you're changing your passwords on your accounts a lot. Anyway, let's go to the next slide. Okay. So there's a handout on your sheet, on your tables. So I know a lot of business owners are trained to use electronic password managers. They're a good start. The challenge is people usually aren't changing their passwords that often. And I've seen so many people locked out of digital password managers because they forget their master password, or they lose their phone, or something else happens. So if you get locked out of a digital password manager, we usually can't get back in unless we're really, really lucky. So it's always good I know a lot of cybersecurity guys tell me, don't tell people to write down their password. What I'm saying is I've made an offline password manager to train you to regularly change your passwords, create unique 16-character passwords. 16 characters is long enough, it's not going to be brute forced. A 16-character password is easy because you can make a sentence or a phrase of 3 or 4 words. And it's also a checklist to remind you to turn on 2-factor authentication. What I want you to do is train everybody in your business. We've got more handouts. You can also take it home, photocopy it. I can send you the electronic copy. And we added it. We had it converted into Arabic this year as well, just because we know we're in an international market. You should be really going through this procedure, if not yearly, if not quarterly, yearly, but writing it. Like, I have my wife do this. I have my kid do this. I have my parents do this. And what I really want you to do is get used to making a list, because you may have 12, 24, you may have 100 different apps and websites that you use that you should really be using a unique password for each and changing them just in case you are involved in a breach, right? But put it in the safe. Go to the bank. If you don't have a safe at home, go take it to the bank and put it in the safe, and just set yourself a reminder to go through this practice, because the more often you go through it, it's not going to be really that challenging to make unique passwords. The password manager apps also out there, they will help you generate passwords, but the thing I don't like about generated passwords is you're not going to remember them. And you're going to have to reset your password all the time. Or if you make a unique phrase and it's written down, like writing things down usually gets that muscle memory working where you're like, okay, now I remember this password now. And of course, it's going to take you a few times doing this. But generally, business owners contact us because they can't get into their website. They can't get into their email. They can't get into important government websites. And I'm like, what's your password? And people don't remember their passwords. Or they bring me a password book that's not dated. And they're like, well, it's this one or this one or this one or this one. And then I'm like, okay, we have to do password reset. And the email address they use for their password reset, they don't have access to anymore. Or their phone number's changed and they're really stuck. And I'm like, okay, you needed our help 6 months ago, but this is fine. We're gonna work with you in order to help you recover your accounts or set up new accounts. And then, so I created this document 3 years ago, and it keeps getting revised, but the QR code on it takes you to season 1, episode 9 of my first season of my tech support podcast, where I step you through. You can watch it on YouTube or mupoentertainment.com. You can step through, and I take you through every single step of writing down your password, writing down the websites you use, trying to log in, stepping you through resetting your password if you need, and you can do it in the privacy of your own home. So in case it takes you a couple hours or days to make sure you've got everything documented. But we've been handing this out to everybody in Canada, North America, and we've been handing it out in the UAE since March. But I don't know how many people have access to it. So you have access to it now. That's on the, okay. And I haven't timed myself, so I have no idea where I am. So again, we're Don't Get Hacked Cybersecurity. We offer complimentary business security and technology health checkups. Our office is in Dubai. However, we also provide this service remotely over Zoom or whatever, Facebook Messenger or whatever you want. It's free security assessments. What I showed you today, we're gonna check your domain security, we're gonna check to see if your email's been compromised, ask you about your computers, your backups, and we're gonna give you kind of like a 10,000-foot strategy of what you should be doing. In case you're already using another IT firm, we just wanna audit their work and make sure you're getting proper advice, because we know that people reach out to us because they feel like they've had the wrong advice or something's been skipped, and we don't want, we handle too many businesses right now that are doctors, lawyers, engineering firms. I've got mechanical services companies in Canada where they go and work on diamond mine. Like, there's business owners now, they travel a lot, and they usually have this false sense of security that they have everything proper set up. And then I scan their domain, and they're like, why is it not a 10 out of 10 like yours? And I'm like, because your IT guys haven't done that. Why is this like this? And then I ask them if they have 3 backups. They're like, we think so. And I'm like, can we restore it? Can we restore? You should have a robust business backup and recovery plan where it's detailed on paper and video. So in case something happens to you or me, my employee or your employee can step through this business recovery plan and put all your computers and servers back together within 24 to 72 hours. And if you don't have a robust plan like that, your IT guys are living in the last decade. Anyway, that's everything from me.
Fantastic. Thanks, Mike. Let's give him a round of applause. I think we've reached the end of the session in terms of the compliance on the tax and VAT. We've also spoken about cybersecurity, crucially important. We all know individuals that have been scammed. Unfortunately, some of us as well, including myself.
Yep. Lost crypto.
Yep.
Happens.
So do reach out to us, as we continue to engage with you. We'll move on to an open networking. There's a couple of individuals that arrived recently as well, so some familiar faces. Please do engage with each other. I think, for the most part, we also know each other in terms of what we do. Let's connect, let's engage further. As I mentioned, this event is by Essentia, where we help in businesses set up as well as the accounting tax, together with Don't Get Hacked. That's really helping a lot of businesses on the cybersecurity front. And we're also in partnership with SAPCO, which is the South African Business Council, as we grow in the community. There's diverse backgrounds, so it's not just the South Africans that's part of it, but it's a multitude of different backgrounds. So thanks so much. Let's give each other a round of applause for the attendance. So what we're going to do, before we get onto the open networking, because I know how this works, once we start talking, it's super hard to stop. Let's come in front, grab a quick photo, and then let's get on with some good networking. Thanks so much once again.